right, so who wants to work themselves out of a job? Right here, right here. Okay, anyone else? Good. Well, I'm here to talk about that, and it comes down to systemization. Riveting, I know, but it actually is one of my favorite topics, so sit tight. First, though, I want to ask you a quick question. Where's my clicker? There it is. I want you to imagine for a moment that you have just won a 90-day, all expense paid vacation to a fabulous destination, and the only thing that you have to do is pack your bags. Right now, we're leaving right now. Who's ready to go? Okay, that's interesting. We have about an 80-20 split, actually. Most small businesses were started, 80% of small businesses were started by technicians, somebody who's very skilled at a trade or a craft, and then finds themselves literally trapped in their business due to a lack of systems, processes, and procedures. So if your first thought at the opportunity to leave right now for a vacation was your business, you are like most business owners that are trapped in their businesses, and that is called the delivery trap. In order to remove the delivery trap, we have to remove key person dependency. And I know about that because I'm an entrepreneur myself. I have always seen in patterns. Systems thinking is my nature. And at one time, I had started, systemized, and sold some businesses in such a broad variety of fields that I really felt like I had distilled it down to universal principles that could be applied in any industry. So when I had the bright idea to open a flooring store, I thought I'd just, figure it out as I went. Do what I did everywhere else, and if I encountered challenges I would have never fathomed were even possible if I had not gotten into the home services industry myself. So that actually ended up being the biggest level up for my systemization game, my business development game. And in addition to being an entrepreneur, I'm also a parent. Do we have any parents in the room? Okay, now you already know there are many parallels between raising business babies and actual babies. And it so happens that right at the very same time that I was discovering that growing the flooring store was going to be a bit of a wild ride, I just so happened to give birth to this wild child right here. This is my third baby, Alice Jane, and she is sugar and spice and everything nice, and a total hurricane of a human being. So here I discovered a very literal parallel between the business I was growing and the baby I was raising. This one, even though I'd done it before, even though I have two other children, just wildly different than my other children. Right out the gate, gave me a run for my money. And so I discovered I was in this very literal parallel reality where my ideas about parenting and who I was as a parent were being challenged at the same time that I'm facing unique challenges in the home service industry. So going back to how that went, I'm finding myself doing a lot of work in the business and not on the business, which we know we're not supposed to be doing because of this guy right here. Anybody know him? Yeah. If your business depends on you, you do not own a business, you have a job, and it's the worst job in the world because you are working for a lunatic. That is Michael Gerber, and he is the author of the E-Myth Revisited, which is consistently ranked as one of the best business books of all time. He is the one who coined the term working on your business instead of in your business, and it is widely understood that in order to do so, a business owner has to systemize their operation by documenting processes and procedures for their teams. However, this is where it goes sideways. The actual process of documenting processes is where especially small business owners get lost and sometimes lose years of their life there or overcomplicate it. So about 10 years ago, Michael Gerber connected with a gentleman out of Australia named David Jennings, and together they came up with a process for systemizing businesses and published a book called Systemology, which came out right as I was really in the thick of it with the flooring store. So this is not ranked as one of the best business books of all time. In fact, most people don't even know about it, especially in the US, but I read a ton of books, every book about systemization, and I recommend this one very frequently, especially to entrepreneurs. It's in like my top 3 recommendations for entrepreneurs. So this book radically changed my perspective on my quality of life, actually. And I'm going to stick pretty closely to the methodology presented in this book during this session in order to give you a framework to follow. I want you to keep in mind, however, that just like raising baby Alice Jane required me to, I have this overarching parenting philosophy that I adapt for each child. This is like an overarching philosophy for developing systems. So this is actually really simple, and it's such a level up. It's not easy per se, but it is simple. And I've walked with a lot of business owners through this process. And even though it's very simple, oftentimes entrepreneurs will tell me that for some reason it won't work for them. And when I really get into digging into that with them, it turns out that key person dependency serves them on some level. And they are so committed to that comfort zone, if you will. That's the real barrier to systemization. So if you're comfortable kind of being the duct tape that holds your business together, having that key person dependency, your brain might try to interrupt me within this session and come up with reasons why this won't work for you. And so I want to challenge that right out the gate by sharing with you that other business owners who have sat in rooms just like this and listened to the same material I'm going to present to you have gone on to do extraordinary things with their businesses and their lives. This is a photo that somebody sent me that attended a session about 11 months ago, and these are most of her processes and procedures fully documented. She was motivated by a dream to start another business, which she is in the process of doing. So this is what separates the business owners that I've worked with as far as who successfully systemizes their business and who does not. It's knowing the reason why you're doing that, the reason why you want to eliminate key person dependency. I was highly motivated because baby Alice Jane was born via a C-section that was scheduled around flooring installations, okay? The moment that I left the OR, before I even held my baby who went directly to the NICU, I was fielding work phone calls. So my life was a little bit upside down, and I didn't like how it felt. So I was highly motivated to course correct. And whatever that is for you, if it's the idea of a 90-day vacation, or maybe selling your business, or whatever, that's what you need to find within yourself in order to eliminate key person dependency and fully systemize your business. Got it? Got it. Okay. Did anybody have something come right to mind? Why you would want to remove key person dependency and systemize your business? She does, she knows. Okay, that's a starting point. Dig. It's under there every time. All right, so let's get into the steps. Step 1 is define. So here is where we're going to figure out which are the first processes and procedures that you want to document. Is anybody wondering how to figure that out? Yeah. All right. So here we are in a hotel, right? Imagine that you sit down over there at the hotel bar next to somebody who is not a part of this conference, and they say, "What do you do?" And you say, "Hurricane shutters." And this person says, "Well, what is that? What's a day in the life of a hurricane shutterer look like?" You know? And so you want to explain it to them, and you grab a cocktail napkin because that's the only thing you have around to kind of sketch it out, and you take them through a job on a cocktail napkin. Now, I'm sure that is very complicated, and there are a lot of fine details that have to be taken into consideration. But if you had to distill it down to, you know, one target customer type, one product or service type, and list out start to finish how it went, how would that go? Okay, so you got an upcoming job, let's say for a homeowner. Okay, homeowner with is looking for hurricane shutter installation. Where do they find you? Online, so Google. Step one, they find you on Google, and then, or maybe social media, and then what? Two and three, customer contacts you. Three, you have a process to set up this, right? Going to their house, okay? Then somebody goes to their house, and then what? There's estimation, and then what happens? Deposit, okay? And then sale, okay, so a technician is assigned to go out to the house. You got to purchase materials. Purchase materials. Okay, so operations is receiving the material and organizing it. Contact the homeowner, and that's project management. We have an installation. And then what happens is at the end, got to make sure everyone was happy. Okay, we've got 10 steps so far. Are you asking for a review? Are you asking for a review? That's 11. So if you pick one target customer type and one target service or product, you're going to come up with 10 to 15 steps. These are the bones of your primary workflow, okay? And they are your MVPs. Those are the ones that you start with documenting. These are your most valuable processes. That's where you begin. In the book Systemology, they have a worksheet for this. This is the cocktail napkin on a worksheet. So attention. For him, they're finding him on Google, inquiry, they're calling him. It goes through these steps. If you just line those up, your MVPs like this on a paper, it's a list, guys. You can take a picture of the worksheet, but just list them out. When I'm working with business owners, just doing this step improves their operation because I can reduce duplicate efforts. I can see where the inefficiencies are. I can see where we've got the wrong person in the wrong seat. Let's flip that. So, and also there's like automation potential in a lot of the things that we just automatically do ourselves because that's the way that it's been done. So just ironing out the critical client flow, that's what this called, saves money, reduces duplicate efforts, saves time, and makes the business more profitable. All right, next step. Assign. This step requires you to acknowledge that the knowledge of how to do something already exists on your team. I think one of the number one mistakes that business owners make is wanting to document all of the processes and procedures themselves, and they then become the bottleneck in that process of documenting processes. So you're going to look at who on your team does something to a gold standard and ask them to document how are they doing it right now. Okay? Does someone come to mind? Yeah. Okay. So this is the best kept secret to rapid systems development is by assigning the documentation piece to the people who do it well. And the reason for it is not that it saves you the time of documentation. The reason for it is what Dr. Phil was illustrating. When you give somebody the authority and the responsibility, you get their buy-in. They start moving this forward for you, and it creates a systems thinking culture. There's another assignment that you're going to make in this stage. You're going to choose a systems champion. The systems champion is the one who documents things the best. So think about who in meetings is always taking notes, who loves a to-do list, who documents things the very best. You team them up with your model teammates, people who are doing things to the highest standard, and one of them documents what they're doing, records what they're doing, and the systems champion then organizes that information and makes it accessible to everybody else. Okay? So to recap, You're going to identify, the key departments, overlap your org chart with your critical client flow, assign the responsibility of documenting each step in that to different people. You can assign departments heads here. It can also be very simple, like field and office, depending on the size of your organization. So you identify the knowledgeable workers and assign critical systems to them and pair them up with a systems champion. Here is a chart. If you want to take a picture of that, it is, again, it's a list. It's a list of the different areas of your business and what things they're really good at. Okay. Then you make a list of which systems they are going to document and turn back to the systems champion. You got to set a deadline here, otherwise it can carry on for a really long time and we don't want to drag it out. Step 3 is to extract the information from the knowledgeable worker. So when it comes to documenting processes, this is something that has come up especially in the last year. A lot of people jump right to like ChatGPT is going to spell it all out for me. Do not do that, please. There is a lot of application for AI in the process of systemizing your business. This is not it, okay? Writing things down into lists, screenshots, flow charts, okay, they suck. No one likes that. No one's like, I can't wait to refer to the spreadsheet that Michelle made on exactly in what order to do everything. The best way to document how things are being done is with video. This comprehending this quantum leaped my systems development, okay? Because that was taking place at the time where attention spans were dwindling down to where information was being consumed via video. And another mistake that I was making is documentation takes place a lot on a computer from a desktop screen, but especially when you have people working in the field, they're accessing that information from their phones. So unless it translates on a phone, they're not going to pay attention. You know what I mean? And so when you refer them back to the documented system or however you have it, they're going to be like, there goes crazy Michelle again. You can just ignore her because she's unreasonable, right? So you get people to video what they're doing, and in the field, in home services, it can look like a tripod on a job set or even a GoPro. I cannot overstate how much your technicians absolutely love to be engaged in this piece of the process. They love it, okay? In the office, you just start, whoever's doing the office stuff starts recording what they're doing as they're doing it. A lot of people want to jump to, let me improve this system as I'm documenting it. That is not what we're doing at this stage. We are documenting how things are being done as they are being done. So these are some screen recording softwares that you can use. Next time, you're looking at your Google My Business profile, you're estimating software for the shutters, you just video that. You just video what you're doing as you're doing it. Some of the tools that you use will allow you to record your voice. You can talk people through it. Just start videoing everything that you're doing and then filing that away. Okay. So, recap of this portion. You're going to use your list of who's responsible for what as a guide, create a timeline with deadlines for people to document each of these systems that are assigned to them, document each identified system, and then identify how you will maintain momentum. How will you keep your team on track? So you set a deadline and you say, okay, you're responsible for videoing, documenting the process of doing the quote at the homeowner's house, and this is going to be done by Thursday or whatever the realistic date is. You have to know in advance how you're going to hold them accountable to that date and plan for either incentives or consequences to do that. Where I see a lot of business owners fail here is that they try to add more, incentivize their workers to want to do this part of their game by giving them an extra $20 or whatever. there's a big difference between employees and business owners and what motivates them. And sometimes it's not always incentives as much as consequences. So business owners, I think, because they have a type of initiative that is a little different from employees, don't grasp that. They want to give more for people to do this thing. It becomes part of the job. On installations, part of the job ticket is install this thing and video it. That is part of the job, and the labor allocation reflects that. That's how it goes. If you want to really nail it with the systemization of your business, you have to be willing to plan some consequences and put them in play. You have to be willing to fire people that won't adopt the new culture, the new systems thinking culture, which is really hard for people to understand. But if you have one person who is resisting the concept, it's not going anywhere. They're holding that train back. Okay, so figure out if you're using incentives or consequences for who and how. Now, how do you organize all this information? Where do you put it? You got a video from, okay, what's the shutter installer's name? Shay. Shay sends you the video. Your systems champion receives that video and they file it where? Okay. Someone get this guy a mic. He said OneDrive. So people always want to know, what's the best tool for filing all this information? Where do I put it? Where do people access it? And the answer to that lies within your existing tech stack. You don't want to add, you do not want to add another login for your people. There are softwares that, will organize systems and stuff, but it is my philosophy that the more logins that you have, the less efficient your team is. So if they're a Microsoft-based office, then the documentation of processes and procedures go into OneDrive. If you're using Google Drive, then it goes there. I've seen people use all kinds of things, and where are your people familiar with accessing information? Someone I know uses Telegram, which is like a messaging app, but I guess you file stuff in there. I know somebody else who just put all their videos straight to YouTube. Videos of how they were installing things. This is a trade, and those YouTube videos actually started getting some pretty solid views. So wherever your people are used to accessing information from you, that's the best place to organize your stuff. I think also you want to consider how the file naming convention, which can indicate who's reviewed it, what the status is. So you may have people dropping their videos there, and the systems champion is checking that drive to see what needs to be updated at any time or pass the owner or whatever. Your file naming convention can help organize it. And again, I would match what you guys are already using, what your team is already familiar with looking at. And then all of the videos that are filed in there can be transcribed in documents, so then everything becomes searchable. And this helps to avoid the dreaded, but I didn't know, or whatever. Whenever people ask questions about how something gets done, you refer them back to this drive that you've decided you're going to organize everything in, and they search there. If they can't find the answer, you add that piece of your system to your list of systems that you're assigning people to document. Okay, you got it? When it comes to the systems champion, people are like, who is this person? I told you it's your most organized person in the office, but if you don't have that person, then you need to hire a person. It's not you. It's never you. Okay? So I've had tremendous success with what I call 10 to 2s. These are parents that are not married, that have children who they drop off in the morning and pick up in the afternoon. It's part-time. During the middle of the day, they can do administrative work or whatever for your business. I can say this, it is a stereotype, but I am this. I am a parent who is not married, and I have children. If you want, this is a small group, I'm just going to keep it real. If you want somebody meticulously organized who's not going to skip a detail and can make magic out of a mess, hire a single mom. Not playing. We make it happen, Captain. Okay. Somebody that I know in the services industry, in the trade press, actually, she was doing all her videos and she hired a VA. Someone remotely was accepting these videos in their shared drive and documenting everything. And that worked out really, really well. This can be a spouse, this can be someone remote or local or whatever. For people who want to sell their businesses to their children, that can be the best person to be your systems champion, because there's no better way to skill somebody up than by having them help with your engineering your system by documenting processes and procedures. Does that make sense? Okay, so all of this keeps in mind the value of the business and preparing to sell it. And sometimes people tell me, but I never want to sell my business, Michelle. I'm going to keep it in the family. Even better to have your processes and procedures worked on through that person you intend to sell it to in your family. But even if you do not want to sell your business, it is much easier to run one on a saleable foundation. It makes your life easier. In any case, system-centered businesses always get higher multiples and sell for top dollar because anyone can buy them, not just people with specific skills. And that's really important where the trades are involved, because the number of people who have the specific skill set in order to get the job done is diminishing right now, not expanding. So building that education into your processes and procedures is really important. All right, so in this step, you're identifying where you're going to file this stuff and you're telling people how we're going to do it. We're going to use this file naming convention. We're going to review it at this interval, whatever. Got it? How am I doing on time? Let's see. Step 5, integrate. This is everyone's least favorite part. It is my favorite part. It requires leadership. This is about shifting your organization toward a systems thinking culture, which means that you're going to be met with resistance and you have to face it head on. This is all the stuff that Dr. Phil was talking about in terms of the difficulty of change. It is very hard for people who are used to doing things one way to accept that you're going to do it a different way. So you identify who is going to be in charge of embracing that shift towards the system thinking culture, and you are going to know your selling points for the individuals that are involved. You have to figure out how to position the benefits of systemization as individual benefits in addition to organizational benefits. So for example, who works in the office? Kayla? Close enough. Kay works in the office, okay? So you would say to Kay, hey, Kay, listen, you know how you dread vacation because you come back to a big pile on your desk? If you participate in this process with us, there's going to be no pile because other people are going to be able to do your job while you're gone. You can give them the book Systemology. Get them excited about the benefits to them of participating in this process and making that shift towards system thinking. So then you begin the extraction process and work with them on that, introduce how you're going to organize it. You manage people now differently through the systems, referring them back to systems when they get stuck. Meet the resistance head on, build a systems thinking culture. All right. And the 6th step is scale. Do you guys have this slide? We good? So this is where you are going to add the additional workflows beyond the MVPs. You're going to create the financial processes, the onboarding processes that welcome new team members into a systems thinking based organization, right? Your business is only as strong as its weakest link. So you're looking to identify where problems are coming and solve those by structuring systems that prevent that problem from taking place again. Does that make sense? So you're documenting anything where you start to notice there's a key person dependency, anything where you have to become involved with the process of something because no one else knows how to do it. These are the this is the stage that you work that out in. And the final phase that I'm going to talk about is optimization. Everybody wants to do this too early, and this is the last step. Most people try to perfect the systems right up front, and they try to get it just right, and it stops them from doing it altogether. It becomes a mental roadblock. You think it has to be done to a certain standard, but you just have to get it done and out. So when we actually go through the capture and extraction phases, we're not trying to improve the process. Some minor improvements will happen, but that's not the point. We continually optimize as we go. So when you get to this point where you are now going back and improving systems and processes, that really becomes your primary role, systems engineer. So you're no longer running around and putting out fires, which is what I felt like when I landed in home services. I felt like my life is just waiting to see who calls me with a mild to moderate to major crisis and figuring it out, which left me feeling very, very tired. So when you get to this point, you're a systems engineer, you're not a maniac running around putting out fires, and it becomes your job to reserve your energy, creativity to optimize the systems that are in play. And you want to save this for the last part, because people who try to optimize their systems too early end up stunting their growth, okay? This is like baby Alice Jane here, okay? Not even the prettiest, most elaborate, professional makeup palette is gonna make her look good when she puts on the makeup until she has the dexterity to use it. So when you first get started out, your systems are gonna look rudimentary, like this toddler makeup palette here on the left. But then working toward the optimized phase is where, it ends up being really well detailed, built out. You'll get there. You'll get there, but don't complicate it in the beginning is probably my best piece of advice. Start with those MVPs, that first critical client flow sheet, and go from there, and know that eventually you'll get the details in there that are going to put you in a position to step all the way back. And that is the final step, is to step all the way back. Your business will start to run like a well-oiled machine. You'll start to notice that you're not getting a lot of phone calls all the time with unexpected issues that come up. You'll be able to tell where the systems need your attention, because there'll be a little squeak in that gear there. And that becomes exciting. That becomes exciting. You kind of, you're not freaking out, because oh, this like little squeak in the machine here is just indicating to me where I need to pay attention. So looking at your KPIs, the metrics that you set for success, this is what the author David Jennings, who I now know very well, calls the CCF dashboard, the critical client flow dashboard, because it's how you monitor how well your systems are working. They're KPIs that you set, the metrics that you set that for around your success. You monitor these and look at them as, the guidance for where you need to focus on developing your systems, or optimizing the systems that are in place. So this ends up being just kind of like, this is your dashboard. This is like the dashboard in your car. If an alert goes off, you don't freak out and drop everything else. You make it over to the shop. You know that something in the system of that vehicle needs to be worked on or repaired, and you do that. And step back. So this is where you can start to leverage opportunities that come your way, like a sudden and unexpected opportunity to take a vacation, or possibly start another business and do other things. You'll know that you're there when the idea of stepping away from your business doesn't make you feel nervous. It's exciting. And it may not be a 90-day vacation for you out the gate. Maybe you have a one-day getaway or start something small. Um, but what's really exciting is that when you have well organized systems in place, it brings the fear all the way down. It brings down the anxiety levels of running a business. And if you can change your thinking to systems thinking and viewing every problem as a systems problem, that is a very powerful position to be in. Where I got stuck in the flooring business was overcomplicating the documentation of some of the processes involved. And what I've learned since then, having worked with many other business owners on their systems, is that the structure of it, the systems problems, are always like a metaphor for the human that is at the helm. Key person dependency, I'm not going to call anyone else out, but for me, I will tell you, key person dependency served me at the time because it meant that I was very busy all the time. If when other people ask you what you're up to, the best word you can find to describe your life is busy, you have a systems problem. Okay, and I knew that. But I had landed in this place in my life where I went out and I got all these things that I thought success looked like, you know? And I couldn't double my vision for myself at the time. I checked every goal off my list and I didn't feel very good about it. I didn't like it. Meeting the requirements that I thought defined success didn't make me feel happy. And that was a little bit disorienting because I didn't really know where to go from there. But staying busy with that much demand on my time kept me from looking at my personal life, which was kind of metaphorical in relation to the systems in my business, right? I had overcomplicated my life with things that looked really pretty but that didn't matter to anyone. I can make a meticulously detailed, gorgeous, breathtaking flow chart. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody cared. So resolving the systems in my business, it's always funny how it, you know, side by side, your personal development and business development kind of go together and amplify each other. Put me back in a position of power personally, where I was able to look at even my life as a system. And anything that came up that didn't make me feel good or that I didn't like, I just looked at as an opportunity to find the place, the thing that I need to do a little differently to get a better result. So that is really life. Life is a continual optimization of systems. If you can master that, you can do absolutely anything. Thank you.